The timing is what we don't understand. And one day we will, but it wasn't my time. It really is a miracle. And I've had so many people reach out and, say, oh, you are so blessed. You're so blessed.
Dr. Kehinde Idowu was in the right place at the right time when John Nimmo crashed his car after a scary medical episode in Atlanta.
A typical morning. I did go to the gym that morning like I normally do. I hit a couple weights and then I get on the elliptical and I hit that pretty heavy. I remember getting into the car. There was a lot of traffic. I remember being a little aggravated and then taking another turn to kind of skirt around the traffic. And that's kind of the last of the memories I have until the hospital.
I was on my way to work, taking a route that my GPS wasn't suggesting I take. So I'll take the U-turn and go take one of the turns that I was supposed to take. And that's when I actually pulled behind John. And that's when I started noticing his car inching forward towards incoming traffic. And it's not safe, it's not clear to turn yet. So slow down, but that didn't happen. No brake lights. So in my mind, I'm thinking something medically might be going on. John's vehicle went over the sidewalk and stopped at a little embankment before he kept moving forward. So I had to kind of force my way through. I got out of my car. That's when I actually saw John sweating and he had his hand to his chest. And I automatically thinking, okay, he's having what I described as a medical event, but more likely a heart attack. When I got to his side of the car, that's when the car started picking up speed. When it picked up speed, I was already to the driver's side and it drove through the parking lot and collided with the wall. So when it started picking up speed, I knew there was going to be some sort of collision. And at that time, I started calling 911.
I hit the back of this building. In the building I hit, I missed the gas meter on this one side by 3 inches. Then, it's a Midas shop. They got an enormous electrical box, and I missed it 3 inches on the left. I kind of bounced off a dumpster a little bit, and it put me right through the uprights and bam, and stopped me right in between the two. So thankfully, Kenny didn't get electrocuted, nor did I.
I was already on the phone with EMS, looking around, trying to give an address or location for EMS to use to find my location. That's when staff came out from Midas, Carter and his manager at the time, who helped me move the dumpster truck, and who was not responsive because of what I saw earlier. I knew it was important that we get him out of the vehicle. Kind of tapped on him and saying, hey, sir, can you hear me? Can you hear us? Seeing if he's responsive, checking for a pulse. Once I didn't feel a pulse, that's when I placed my hand on his chest and started CPR. We were doing CPR. There was a brief moment where it seemed like John was coming back, where he started breathing on his own. But I don't know how long that lasted, but it wasn't long enough for us to stop CPR. So we resumed CPR. Police officers came. I'd asked one of the police officers if they had a defibrillator. So he went and got his defibrillator. To have something outside of CPR that we can do to potentially change what was going on.
Car hit the building.
EMS arrived. They hooked him up to several monitors. They put him on the gurney, put him in their truck, and then took him to the nearest hospital.
What a story to tell this morning. What a story to tell.
Dr. Idowu says the timing of them being next to each other on the road was a blessing.
How quickly EMS arrived and how quickly a police officer arrived with the defibrillator, it's another blessing. In the city of Atlanta, it usually takes a little longer for an EMS truck to arrive, especially when there's traffic. So for one to get us to him quickly, and also for there to be no traffic, for them to get him to the hospital was another good thing as well.
I remember waking up at one point, a lot of people yelling, screaming. One guy was, hey, do you remember hitting that building? And, I'm shaking my head going, what's he talking about? I really have a hard time really remembering when I came out of it, when I was in a state that I could talk. I know my wife said for about the first 3 hours, I kept saying, what's going on with my car? And did I hurt anyone? And I repeated that for about 3 straight hours. I think she was ready to get a pillow out and kind of end what Dr. Kenny tried to keep going. They just said there was a blockage. And in my case, the blockage that I had, I guess, disengaged or whatever and created the heart attack. They said, we don't see any damage to the heart. Everything is functioning normally. I'll be going to cardiac rehab start next week. And they said, you'll get through this and you'll just go back to living a normal life.
This is where the car parked and hit the building.
Before the accident, John had just retired and was starting to take better care of himself.
When I got into retirement, I was a bit overweight and I knew I needed to do other things. I was really doing a lot of thinking and making sure I was doing it the right way. And so it was working. I had lost some weight. So I don't know, maybe I'll just go back to drinking beer and maybe doing a 2 or 3 mile run I never had any problems when I was doing that. So
After all they'd been through, John was hesitant to meet Dr. Idowu.
I had a hard time the first few days just trying to come to grips to it. And I didn't want to see the video. I didn't want to really think about anything except, I was still in recuperation phase. But then when I saw Dr. Kenny, I said, man, he is the most genuine, nicest person I've ever seen. And he just gave me such joy. And after that point, I was like, okay, I'm all in. It was great meeting him.
When I heard there's a green light, we're good to meet, I was like, where's this flood of emotions coming from? And I think it's hitting home, like I said, as a palliative care doctor, when I'm used to comforting patients and their family members because of the bad outcome. I'm doing the opposite now. I'm sharing in their joy, which is not normal. It's not common for me. And that was just driving all my emotions. So I had to park and let as much of it out before I get there, because I can't be talking and crying at the same time. Like, I gotta try and have some composure.
The pair says they are now friends for life.
I told Dr. Kenny, I said, I have this Thanksgiving to thank you for, and this upcoming Christmas to thank you for, and any holiday forward. I have it all. I owe it all. Those fun times I have with my grandkids and with my family and with friends and whatnot. Anytime we laugh or smile, from this point forward, if I ever do anything good or make anyone smile or laugh, it's not just me. It'll be Dr. Kenny with me always. He'll always be standing next to me. You will always be a part of those moments no matter what.
I'll thank God for all the good moments you're going to have going forward for you.
Thank you so much.
John wants others to be prepared in case of an emergency.
People really should just watch a YouTube on an AED device, a children's CPR, a children's choking. Things happen and opportunities come up, and you got to be ready for those opportunities. And I was blessed to have someone behind me that knew what to do, but the outcome would have been greatly different if somebody was behind me or not behind me and couldn't have done what he did.
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindall.